Welcome to the Middle Ages, an era of epic change. Imagine a world emerging from the shadow of a fallen giant. This was the Middle Ages. It was a vast stretch of time lasting for 1,000 years. It began around the year 500, after the mighty Roman Empire in the West had crumbled. This era wasn't dark and silent as some people imagine. Instead, it was a time buzzing with new ideas, fierce battles, and incredible art. It was a period that shaped the very foundations of our modern world. From our laws and languages to our beliefs and borders, it's a story of survival, innovation, and the birth of new civilizations. Think of it as a great sprawling human drama. Kings and queens, knights in shining armor, and brilliant scholars all played their parts on this grand stage. Cities grew from dusty Roman ruins into bustling hubs of trade and learning. Cathedrals soared towards the heavens, their stained glass windows telling colorful stories to people who couldn't read. This was an age of faith, where religion guided every aspect of life, from the daily prayers of a peasant to the grand ambitions of an emperor. Understanding this period is like finding a key to unlock the past, helping us see how our own world came to be. This wasn't just a European story though, far from it. While kingdoms like those of the Franks and the Anglo-Saxons were finding their feet in the West, other incredible powers were rising. In the East, a dazzling empire carried on Rome's legacy but with its own unique, glittering style. And from the deserts of Arabia, a new faith would emerge, spreading with astonishing speed and changing the course of history forever. These different worlds were destined to meet, sometimes peacefully, and sometimes in spectacular, earth-shaking conflict that would redefine the map of the known world for centuries to come. The Middle Ages matter because they show us how resilient people can be. When one great power falls, others rise to take its place, bringing fresh energy and new ways of seeing the world. It was a time of epic showdowns, not just on the battlefield but in the minds of thinkers and artists. It was an age of profound connections and deep divisions, where trade routes and pilgrimages linked distant lands, even as armies clashed over territory and belief. So let's journey back in time to explore these incredible civilizations and the dramatic events that made this era so compelling and important. The glittering heirs of Rome, the Byzantine Empire. While the western half of the Roman Empire was breaking apart, the eastern half stood strong. We call it the Byzantine Empire. Its capital was the magnificent city of Constantinople, a place of stunning wealth and power. Think of it as Rome, but with a Greek soul and an Eastern flavor. For 1,000 years this empire was a beacon of civilization. Its emperors saw themselves as the true successors of Augustus Caesar. They commanded powerful armies and a sophisticated civil service. Constantinople itself was a fortress, protected by massive walls that defied invaders for centuries. It was the largest and richest city in Europe. The Byzantines were masters of art and architecture. They perfected the use of domes in their buildings, creating breathtaking churches like the Hagia Sophia. Imagine stepping inside a space where the ceiling seems to float on a river of light covered in shimmering gold mosaics. These artworks weren't just for decoration, they told powerful stories about their faith and their emperors. The Byzantines also preserved the knowledge of the ancient Greeks and Romans. They carefully copied old manuscripts, saving priceless works of philosophy, science, and literature that might otherwise have been lost to the world forever. Life in the Byzantine Empire was a unique blend of cultures. It was deeply Christian, but its language and learning were Greek. Its trade routes stretched from the cold lands of the north to the spice markets of the east. This made Constantinople a vibrant crossroads where different peoples and ideas met. Chariot races in the Hippodrome were a wild and popular spectacle, just as they had been in ancient Rome. But the city was also filled with churches, monasteries, and holy relics, making it the spiritual heart of Orthodox Christianity, a faith that developed its own distinct traditions, separate from the Pope in Rome. However, this great empire was not without its enemies. It was constantly fighting for its survival. It faced threats from Germanic tribes in the west, Slavic peoples in the north, and the powerful Persian Empire in the east. These endless wars drained its resources and manpower. Yet, for centuries, Byzantium endured. It was a golden bridge connecting the ancient world to the modern one. Its legacy is immense, influencing the art, religion, and politics of Eastern Europe and Russia in ways that are still visible today, on this day, July 22, 2025. It was a truly resilient and remarkable civilization. A new dawn from the desert, the rise of the Islamic world. Now let's turn our eyes to the deserts of Arabia in the 7th century. Here, a new chapter in world history was about to begin. A prophet named Muhammad began preaching the message of Islam, a monotheistic faith that called for submission to one God, Allah. This powerful new message united the often warring tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. After the prophet's death, his followers, known as caliphs, embarked on one of the most astonishing expansions in history. They were filled with incredible energy and a deep sense of purpose, and their influence would soon be felt across 3 continents. The Arab Islamic armies moved with incredible speed. Within a century they had conquered the vast Persian Empire and taken huge territories from the Byzantines, including Syria, Egypt and North Africa. Their empire stretched from the borders of India all the way across North Africa and into Spain. This rapid expansion wasn't just due to military skill. In many places people were tired of their old rulers and welcomed the newcomers. The Islamic world became a vast, interconnected space, united by a common faith in the Arabic language, which became the language of religion, government and science. This new empire wasn't just about conquest, it sparked a golden age of science, philosophy and art. While much of Europe was fragmented, cities like Baghdad, Cairo and Cordoba became dazzling centers of learning and culture. Scholars in the Islamic world translated the works of the ancient Greeks, like Aristotle and Plato, into Arabic. They didn't just preserve this knowledge, they built upon it. They made huge advances in mathematics, inventing algebra and popularizing the numbering system we still use today. They were also pioneers in medicine, astronomy and optics, with their ideas influencing European thinkers for centuries. The impact of this era was truly global. It created a powerful new civilization that connected the East and the West in new ways. Goods, ideas and technologies flowed along its trade routes. Paper, which came from China, was introduced to Europe through the Islamic world, revolutionizing how knowledge was recorded and shared. The Islamic world was a place of great cities, bustling markets, and brilliant minds. Its rise fundamentally changed the balance of power, creating a new and dynamic force that the Byzantine Empire and the kingdoms of Europe had to reckon with, setting the stage for the dramatic encounters to come. Clash of worlds, the Crusades, and a shifting Europe. By the 11th century, the world had changed dramatically. The Byzantine Empire was feeling immense pressure. A new and powerful force, the Seljuk Turks, had arrived from Central Asia. They converted to Islam and conquered much of the Middle East, including the holy city of Jerusalem. The Byzantine emperor, fearing for his empire's survival, sent a desperate plea for help to the Pope in Rome. He asked for Christian knights from the West to come and help him fight back against the Turks. This call for help would unleash a movement that would shake the world, the Crusades. In 1095, Pope Urban II gave a powerful speech, calling on the knights of Europe to march to the east. He urged them to stop fighting each other and instead fight to reclaim Jerusalem and the Holy Land from Muslim rule. The response was incredible. People from all walks of life, from powerful lords to poor peasants, were inspired by this call. They sewed crosses onto their clothes and began the long, dangerous journey east. Their motivations were mixed. Some were driven by genuine religious faith. Others hoped to win land, wealth, or simply adventure in a faraway land. This was the beginning of 2 centuries of conflict. The Crusades were a series of brutal and complex wars. There wasn't just one crusade, but many. And they were fought not just in the Middle East, but also in Spain and along the Baltic coast. The First Crusade was a surprising success for the Europeans, as they managed to capture Jerusalem in 1099, establishing small Christian kingdoms in the region. However, holding on to these lands was difficult. The Islamic world eventually regrouped under powerful leaders like Saladin, who famously recaptured Jerusalem in 1187. Later crusades were often disastrous, sometimes turning into chaotic expeditions that achieved very little. In the end, the Crusades failed in their main goal of permanently controlling the Holy Land, but their impact on Europe was profound and long-lasting. The returning Crusaders brought back new goods, like spices and silks, and new ideas from the advanced Islamic world. This stimulated trade and helped European cities to grow. The power of kings increased as they raised taxes and armies for the expeditions, while the old feudal system began to weaken. The Crusades also created a legacy of bitterness and distrust between Christians and Muslims. This epic clash of civilizations marked a turning point, signaling the end of an era and the beginning of a new, more connected and more conflicted Europe.